Before we begin, I would like to say something, okay? It has been a lot of hours in PTR, off-stream and on-stream testing. I spoke to a lot of theory crafters, I tested things myself, I studied things myself, and I spent pretty much a healthy amount of hours across all specs and classes. What I'm gonna tell you today is not final thing, and it's not something that will be 100% guaranteed. Okay, things will definitely change, but I will make sure every single Sunday at 2 o'clock Central European time, every single Sunday until the patch day, to update you. This is a big disclaimer to the people that are coming here. What I'm gonna say is not 100%. It is something that eventually it will get changed. If it doesn't get changed, great. If it does get changed, great, okay? So I don't want you to pitchfork people and be like, hey, why did you say X when Petko said Y? Everybody is entitled to an opinion, and if you don't agree with what I just say, perfectly fine. You can ignore me, block me, and never talk to me. That's perfectly fine. It's my opinion at the end of the day. If you don't agree, that's cool. As always, DPS is by far my specialty, and I'm very excited to talk about DPS because, believe it or not, I think this was probably the first time that I have prepared so hard about it, you know? Okay? Let's see what do you guys think about it. First of all, need more testing is the directory that I made, because I believe that this class here, I haven't fully tested it out, and it's something that I don't wanna rank them when I don't have as much evidence compared to other classes. So I've made this for only one spec in the game. It's Devastation Evoker, chat. Now this might come as a surprise. This is the only spec in the game that I'm not sure where it's gonna place right now, because on paper this has very strong tier set, and in my opinion you probably gonna do a lot better in like raiding compared to Mythic Plus, especially given how long your cooldowns can be. You're gonna benefit a lot from like haste buffs, you know, haste amps like BL or PIs. And in Mythic Plus, it feels like you have like infinite, like all of your damage is tied to like Dragon Rage or whatever it's called, the cooldown. Dragon Rage, yeah, right, I think it's like that. Like your cooldowns could be up to like 40 seconds, even longer if you're actually a good player. So this is the only spec that it feels extremely weird, and in my opinion it could do very well on like a higher keys, but on a lower keys it might not do amazing, just because even if you burst like one pack and nuke it, next pack might be like a dry like a noodle, especially if you don't insta chain when you roll your tier set. So this is something that I don't really 100% feel confident in ranking though. Hotfix needed. I think this thing is probably gonna be there's like only like one class that I can think of to be here. Now hotfix needed is something that I believe a class just would 100% not go like that. Now originally I had Demolock here. Demolock, however, just got recently hotfixed, so that is no longer the case. There's only one spec in the game right now that suffers from that rotational issues, and I believe that if it gets fixed, then I think it's gonna do insanely well. The class that I'm talking right now is Arms Warrior. Arms Warrior currently, in my opinion, is one of the few, if not the only class that is severely like rotationally broken. Broken in a way of like you don't have really the excess amount of like you have so much rage that you don't know where to spend it. Pretty much there's like no options. I spoke to a lot of theory crafters and they're kind of like on the same opinion. I think Arms Warrior in terms of strength is like A tier, like here in A tier, like upper B and lower A tier. Very strong burst cooldowns, which I believe that you're likely going to like focus on the lower keys. They will excel better, and I just personally don't feel like they deserve right now to be in A tier, just because they're gonna get fixed and likely to be a lot better than that. Now, few things. If they get to be hotfixed and they actually fix the rage issues and they get the legendary, I'm scared. Because I believe Ars Warrior could actually be like here. It could be like top 10 specs limited plus, if not like top 5. You know? Single target is another issue where I believe that they're not amazing, but the execute damage might make up to that. But honestly, it just feels like there's such a like massive amount of variation here that I cannot really be accurate about the spec. So for now, I'm gonna put it in a hotfix needed. But I think down the line, it definitely deserves to be an A tier. You know, minimum A tier. Okay, minimum B plus. But I think if given the legendary, plus 100% hotfix in the next couple of weeks, I think A tier is solid choice for us right now. All right, so there are a few specs in trash tier that I don't like to say that, but first spec on the trash tier is Warindfire Hunter. Now, before people judge me, MM compared to survival and BM is extremely undertuned. When I say this, I mean you're slightly higher than the tank damage. You're one of the lowest, if not the lowest performing classes right now in the game. Now, there are several things to consider, and that the first one could be a tier set change. Is likely the only fix, because right now the tier set benefits a lot better AoE than ST. Your single target is laughable. You're close to tank damage on single target. Oftentimes, at least from what I have tested, you know, I feel like you'll be concerned to play with the Brewmaster's tank, just because you might get out damaged by them. So that is another class that I think it will get buffs accordingly. I hope so, and I don't think Blizzard is gonna leave them that bad. Again, my take. It could definitely be bad, but I don't know how bad that would be. You know. Anyway, next in line. Now, Destrolock is the next spec in Mythic Plus. This is something that some people will hate me for it, but I think Destro for the higher keys can definitely be a lot higher, like for example B tier at minimum, but on the lower keys without your major cooldown, you're below tank damage. Your ramp up damage, first of all, is very slow and very low as well. And when I say very low, sure, with your big cooldowns, you definitely do well because they also got buffed recently, right? But the infernal damage cannot compensate for the lack of damage outside of Inferno. You just cannot. Like the days where Destro was pumping are no longer there. It's really down bad. I would even argue on like below 20 keys, this might be like the worst spec. Now, for single target, you're definitely fine. 2 targets, you're definitely fine. You're still gonna be fine. In a big massive AoEs with the Inferno up, you're gonna do well. But outside of those windows, you do poorly, like very poorly. Poorly when it comes close to tank damage, poorly, you know. This is something that I like to put out there. Yeah, the ramp up of Rain of Fire is very slow too. Exactly, it just has a lot of downtime. It feels like, and you're like by the time you do damage of like lower keys or like middle to low keys. Middle to low keys, as soon as you start doing some damage, the pack is already dead. Like imagine you're playing, for example, with let's say you're playing with Protection Warrior, Enhanced Shaman, and Survival Hunter, and you have Destrolock. You go into the pack, you start to damage, the pack is dead. You would do no damage at all. You'll be like below tank damage, 100%. Like you suffer the most against burst classes. Now, if you put Destro on the higher keys where mobs don't die that easy, sure, it might catch up at some point. Or if they have like major cooldowns. Again, low utility is definitely good. Healthstones, Soulstone, the Gate, Curses, a lot of defensive cooldowns, good self-healing as well, from Soul Link as well, from like health potions, Immortal Coast and whatnot. But I think more damage is definitely something to be considered. I don't know if Rain of Fire would fix the issue or something else, but yeah. I agree to that. Anyway, I don't think any other spec is right now trash, so that's to be considered. Okay. Next in line, in my opinion, is Fury Warrior. Now, Fury Warrior genuinely is a spec that I believe along the line is gonna get better. Especially once they get the legendary. 100% I feel like it's gonna be uh WindWalker Monk. I don't think that is a trash spec, unlike many people think. I think you're bad, but you're not trash. The only argument I could say about WindWalker is you do a lot of burst damage. Like, your consistent damage might not be the best, but your burst damage is very good, and you could possibly rank up higher if you're playing like lower to like mid keys. WindWalker being paper is definitely wrong. WindWalker actually opposite is quite tanky. You have a lot of spells that you can mitigate damage with. Like, you're definitely not paper. If given to be the melee meta, I think WindWalker can fit and be placed higher. But if you think about utility wise, I think they also have good utility. Nobody can deny that. I think the complete rework on the tier set, or general rework of the spec, might be the best thing for them, or just more damage. You know, like, their burst damage is something not to underestimate. It would definitely feel like you do actually accurate damage though. You know. But I mean, again, if you're playing with WindWalker, I don't think you're gonna perform bad though. But you might not get invited ever. I like the burst damage, however. I like the burst damage. It feels pretty good when I was speaking. Fury Warrior. Fury Warrior is another issue that I think people underestimate how powerful could be having the legendary. While I agree Fury is not amazing right now, I think general buffs to this spec is the only salvation for them. The only salvation. Especially now after they got more nerfs to the utility. I don't see any way of them escaping the C tier except more nerfs. More buffs. Now, I have a theory. I have a theory that a lot of classes that can wear the double hander that has a strength in its legendary are arguably not performing amazing just because they're waiting for the new legendary to like tune classes around them, you know. We have no idea what that Lego is gonna do. No idea what it's gonna do, no idea how you can get it, and no idea how long it's gonna take to get it. But I think for now speaking, Fury is definitely not great. I would say Arms is a lot better than Fury. So if you have Fury main one trick, I have an issue right now, buddy. You might want to consider going Arms. Blood Decay, Unholy Decay, Frost Decay, Arms, Fury, and Red Paladin can wear the legendary. Rumors say the Lego will be AoE like Gavo. I don't know. I don't know, chat. It definitely could be. It definitely could be. Anyway, let's continue, boys. Let's continue and talk about the next in line. Okay. In my opinion, Affliction is the next one. There we go. What a dirty boy. Affliction, chat. Affliction Lock is the next on CTR. Now, I am personally disappointed with how Affliction performs right now. I feel like the problem is in the tier set. The tier set is definitely something to like consider going forward. Just because while it feels great for single target and like 2-3 targets, it forces you to cast Seeds still in AoE, while the set buffs only MR and extends the dots by MR, which is again not really what I want to have when it comes down to like you know, a massive AoE spec like Affliction. Now the only fix here is to let the Seeds also extend the dots and also get the 4-piece effect. That is, in my opinion, a good fix for the class. That will fix the AoE by a big margin. Now, if that is not considered, I think spread cleave 1-2 targets or 3 targets, Affliction still will do great. You know, if that's the case. But any other case, I just don't see how this class can compete with others. Again, just like Destro, the general lock utility is pretty good. Everybody knows that. They're also pretty tanky, so if some damage adjustments are being made to this spec, I can see it climbing higher than CTR. But also against lower keys, middle keys, if you're against, for example, burst classes, you would be like in shambles. I would even argue here that WindWalker can probably smoke you in DPS on the lower keys. I would even, yeah, like this class can completely smoke Afflix, given the fact how wonky it feels, you know. But again, it's just too soon to judge for now, though. That's my early impression, my early testing. So I definitely believe they're gonna do a lot more changes to like Affliction Warlock down the line. At least maybe change the tier set. That is the bare minimum I would expect, because nobody is casting Malefic Rupture in AoE on like 5, 6 targets, 7 targets. Like all the time, like seed spam is the only argument. We'll see though. I think the only class that I'm gonna put down the C tier is gonna be Frost Decay right now. Frost Decay is the only class left on a C tier. Again, compared to Unholy, they slightly underperform. I would like to see a lot more changes on behalf of damage from Frost Decay, especially given their nice damage profile, how bursty they are. This is the only spec that I believe that has a very real potential to get out of a C tier if they get even the slightest adjustments on like damage. Overall, the tier set might force to play Obliteration, especially after the new legendary, because the DemonHunter on Frost Decay can be used, which again might not be able to play the bread build, but who knows? I mean, I don't know. Maybe you play still the bread build, like nobody knows for now. But Frost Decay compared to Unholy feels a lot worse if you play Mythic Plus. Again, general utility of Frost Decay is not amazing, but it's not bad as well. Have a good mob control and very strong defensively, so you can barely die. So yeah, Frost Decay is it's in a weird spot pretty much, because mostly all are gonna probably choose to play Unholy instead of Frost. Set is made into do weight with bread, sure, but then if you include the legendary, which is gonna be 200, I don't think that fits the agenda here, you know. It just doesn't though. If you're playing bread build, which I think bread build is pretty good, like that doesn't fit with the anyway. Those are the only classes in C tier for now, chat. That's in my opinion for now. I don't think any other class deserves to be here. Now, B tier, we're talking about classes that has a potential, but they need more tuning. I don't think those classes need a like fractional change in their playstyle or talent trees. I think they just need a bit more touch to get to the A and S, you know. And those classes are in order. First, Shadow Priest. Shadow Priest received, I don't know how many buffs, how many nerfs in a row. Like their tier set did receive, I think, 2 nerfs in a row. Could be even more. I think 2 is what I can remember on top of my head, right? So I think Shadow Priest is definitely suffering on behalf of damage. Overall utility is great. Tankiness, they're pretty okay. They're gonna be a lot better in raiding compared to Mythic Plus, especially how strong of a ST they have. So ST, spread cleave, 2 targets. I mean, I'm all up for that. I think like Shadow Priest will do amazing. If you're a Shadow Priest main and you're looking to raid in Mythic Plus, Shadow Priest will be still amazing to play, especially with the PI and stamina buff, and you know, MD could be super useful. But I think if you're a Shadow Priest main for Mythic Plus, you can definitely start being a bit concerned just because of how many nerfs you got in a row. Your AoE is definitely underperforming. But still, PI, stamina buff, MD, disease dispel, has some value Mythic Plus, and especially scale amazing with the Augmentation, the Frost Mage, Fire Mage, Arcane Mage. Anybody that can benefit from PI. So don't feel like it is desperate though. Shadow Priest next in line. Okay. Outside of Shadow Priest, I think there's only one spec here that deserves to be the B tier. It is the Frost Mage. Frost Mage B tier. I think Frost Mage might be the only spec, or one of the few specs that I believe that did not get a lot of changes. Of course, new tier set is arguably close to being similar to last tier set, but it's new. I think the damage output is the only issue that Frost is having right now, especially like feel like single target is a massive issue right now. Which I think further balancing can determine their spot, but I think they have everything to be a top tier spec. They have a good utility, massive survivability. I think genuinely what they miss right now is just more output, AoE and ST, but I think ST is like the only the only thing that it could be massively improved to be more in line with the rest of all the classes right now. But I think like being the first on a B tier list, and you know, lower A tier, upper B tier, I feel like it's the sweet spot for like Frost Mage. Again, I think you have all the qualities to be part of like the A and S tier and A plus tier. I just have to see a lot more changes on behalf of damage. As soon as that is fixed, then I would be a lot more inclined to believe that Frost is better. But I think being the best pick in B tier is fair. I see some people like to be a lot higher in A tier. Sure. But yeah. GG played Frost yesterday. He was pumping more than Shadow. Yeah, I mean that's why Shadow is placed on you know, that's why Shadow is placed lower than Frost Mage. A tier and A plus tier. The specs that I truly believe that they will be very good to Mythic Plus. Now, just small disclaimer, what is the difference between A and A plus tier? I think the biggest difference here is A plus is, in my opinion, a little bit better than A tier. But I still believe A tier means you're just pretty strong. Or A tier means like it might be a lot better on higher keys than lower keys. Therefore, you know, for the average queue of a 20, there's gonna be a fluctuation of the rankings, you know. But again, regardless, A plus or A tier, anything above B tier means like you're a very solid pick. So if you're maining one of those classes, means like you're, hey, you know what, my class is currently doing well. Again, I'm saying currently because there's gonna be at least 4 to 5 more weeks until the start of season 3. However, things might or might not get changed. Question mark for now. First, DPS on A tier, I guess. In my opinion, Unholy Decay. Unholy is the first spec that I would like to put on an A tier. Genuinely, a lot of improvements from last season. Likely the best version of Unholy we have seen so far since the rework of the beginning of the PTR patch. Again, I don't think you're the same powerhouse in Mythic Plus as you used to be, for example, in the first season with a master damage. They nerfed a lot of burst damage, but it gave them a lot of consistent damage, which I think that's a fair trait. Unholy, in my opinion, is gonna be definitely one of the S tier or at least upper A tier / S tier classes in rating. A lot of single target, valuable class to have. Again, AMZ in groups, only part of your rotation of your utility. In Mythic Plus, you have stuff like CR, very valuable, as I already said, very tanky as well, which is always to consider, and you float well with the melee comps, melee meta. Now, this is one of the specs. The only thing that I dislike about Unholy is like you can unlock your true potential if you play with a Primate, just because you have cooldowns that can be utilized if you tank pulls big on them. You know, your consistent damage is nothing crazy, but it's not bad. It's not like, wow, this guy is like a Havoc DH, you know, having like insane damage all the time. But I think it feels like your damage output without cooldowns is okay. It's not insane, but it's not bad. It's okay. During cooldowns, still very good. ST, great. But again, I think you're a better pickup for raiding compared to Mythic Plus. Overall, if you're Unholy, you'll be happy though, because if you're amazing in raiding and you're decent in Mythic Plus, that's a win to me, you know. That is the first pickup here, you know. Again, could I be wrong here? I mean, absolutely no. Next in line, in my opinion, Feral Druid. Now, Feral Druid, unlike a lot of popular opinions, I think Feral Druid are gonna do better than last season, which is definitely a win for them. Being an A tier means they are solid pickup for any Mythic Plus group right now. Good utility, Mark the Wild, any other stops out there, for example, Typhoon and Vortex and Roar. You're pretty tanky as well. You have a single root and suit, and you have a lot of utilities to help your team to survive, paired with like a good AoE damage and single target. You have also short burst windows, which means like you're gonna have damage most of every single pack. Sometimes I feel like the ramp up damage is too slow for you. I feel like by the time you ramp up in Mythic Plus, most of the mobs are already being close to death. So the higher the key goes, the better you perform. So if you're playing like lower keys and like middle to lower keys, like you're still gonna do good damage. But if you play against like a high burst class, you will get spanked, you know, which is something that I don't like to say that, but if you're playing high keys, you're fine. But for the lower mid keys, be careful, because this spec might be clapped by a lot of classes though. So don't be surprised if Pharaoh got clapped, for example, by WindWalker. Next spec on 8th tier, this could be a surpriser, but this is like, in my opinion, spec that I can see getting better the longer the patch goes. I'm gonna say Demonology is next in line on 8th tier. Definitely very solid pickup, likely if not the best lock spec right now. Feels very good after the most recent changes / buffs. Definitely a class that I would like to keep on exploring and playing myself. Solid pickup as ours overall. Your tier set is very strong if it procs on right time. Overall consistency of the damage is quite well. And I think you're pretty well balanced around Mythic Plus right now. Again, you're not OP, but you're not really bad though. You're definitely a well-rounded pickup for Mythic Plus. You scale very well with gear and OK Evoker / PI, so I wouldn't be surprised if later on you become better in just 8th tier. But for now, I feel like the early on 8th tier is just a solid pickup, and I think in raiding it's gonna be also pretty good. So being good in raiding and being good in Mythic Plus, that's just pretty good combo together. So I think you're gonna enjoy having that density around it. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they hotfixed the Demonology set quite recently. If it wasn't hotfixed, then I think you're definitely A+. But the hotfix now makes it a lot more manageable. Yeah. Okay. So I think that's about locks. So if you're a lock main, you'll be happy about Demonology just because how good Demo became since a week ago. Again, if you guys have not read the disclaimer, a spec could become from really bad to really good. The case with the Demonology was really bad. After the changes, now really good. Again, not S tier really good, but I think you're solid pickup overall. Okay. Alright, next in line, chat, is gonna be one of my personal favorite specs to play with Mythic Plus, and that is a Balance Druid. I think you will be quite good when it comes down to high keys. A lot better than last season, I think. You'll be quite good, especially against like burst damage, with like massive cooldowns though. Like if you play around like balance druids, you do astronomical numbers. Okay, I might have lied. I don't like balance druids. That's true. You know what? Fuck balance druids. I don't like that. I don't like them. But I cannot argue out of how good they are. They are good. They are good. They are good. I might not like them, but they are strong. Good utility, good damage, good defensives, and they are very strong when it comes down to burst damage. Now, arguably they got better with like ramp up damage, which means on a middle keys-ish, you're still gonna feel the difference. You're gonna do a lot more front load damage, which means like overall more damage to you. On the lower keys, you might still struggle, however. Before you apply the dots, boom, you're already dead zone, by most of the classes. But if you play middle to high keys, I think you definitely a spec to consider. Again, I think this syncs well with like Havoc DH, with Balance Druid, very well pick up, Overall, you play with any classes, I guess, but the best value out of like Balance Druid you can get from like pre-made group. Again, TLDR, very good pickup, a lot better on high keys. The best value out of a spec you can unlock in high mythic plus or with the pre-made group, which I believe that if you are a serious pusher, you will be blasting, Survival Hunter. Survival Hunter, in my opinion, it's absolutely a banger of a spec right now. Very high front load burst damage, very good sustained damage, very good single target. You definitely can feel the difference between survival in season 2 and survival in season 3. So I really like how it floats, a lot better. Again, defensive wise, you're not the best. Utility wise, not the best. Damage wise, however, I would say this pickup of survival is more of like mid keys. I guess if you're playing survival on high keys, I would pick up Demonology. I would pick up all of those pick instead of you. If you're playing high keys, I would prefer to have Boomy and Demon instead of you, in my opinion. I would just say like that. On high keys, I would prefer to play Balance, Demo, or Pharaoh. But I think the frontal burst of survival definitely helps a lot for like lower keys where you just nuke out stuff, you know, so quick. In high keys, nobody invites anyway. Yeah, that's a good argument. I guess that's true. On a high keys, you know, they don't really invite you. I guess. But that's fine though. So yeah, overall I'm happy about survival though. This is like one of the specs that I would play myself. I would personally play survival next year to give it a try because I like the gameplay and I think they're pretty fun and I think also they got a massive improvement. Again, my opinion. Alright, next on the tier list, boys. This one is gonna hit close, okay? And a lot of people will call me copium. Now, I wanna see why I'm gonna put the next spec on the tier. The next spec does amazing. And I swear I'm not trying to, you know, sound back my spec. It's Elemental Shaman. And before people tell me that's not true, you're trying to pretend Ellie is bad. Ellie Shaman is currently bugged.
Copium.
It's bugged. It's bugged. Listen to me.
Copium.
It is bugged right now, okay? The class has a haste bug that extends your haste when you use your 4-piece. So, if it gets nerfed, it's because of this. But yeah, seriously, I mean, again, TLDR, Ellie is good. I mean, after the most recent nerfs, you're still gonna perform well. Genuinely, I believe that you have a lot of potential on the higher keys, even on the lower keys. But my only concern here is, will they hotfix the haste bug?
Sifter up Moonbid.
If they hotfix the haste buff, the haste bug here, then I honestly see that Ellie value will get a bit lower. That's my honest opinion though. I'll still play Ellie. I love it. I love my spec, but I'm just trying to like be honest right now. But again, we'll see though. I mean, it really depends how Blizzard accounts for. The Earthquake Spender is very, very weak. You know, I would really like to. So the bug is, as soon as you cast your, so you pretty much extend the haste buff granted from like a Primordial Wave. You know how you get your Primordial Wave haste. You pretty much extend that all the time with your tier set, which is something that I saw intended. I'm sure is gonna get nerfed. I don't know if it's. I mean, the thing is, even if it's intended, there is no wording. Nowhere you can mention, hey, you know what, you're gonna extend the buff. You know, you're spending a Mythic Plus Earthquake, but your Earthquake does around 12 to 10% of your overall damage in Mythic Plus, which is insanely low. So the only salvation for my spec here is if they buff Earthquake, or they buff Earthshock / Elemental Blast for AoE / ST, and then if they want to nerf Lava Burst, do it, but then you gotta buff the spenders. So yeah, I think Ellie's overall very solid pickup.
Copium.
Yeah. Anyway, also, you're likely one of the weakest, if not the weakest, defensive class right now. Like, the only salvation is just to get some more defensives, honestly. Like, Astro Shift and Earth Ellie. And Earth Ellie is 5 minutes, Astro Shift is like 1.5 minutes. Maybe give Astro Shift, for example, double charge, maybe? I don't know, something. But I think, defensive-wise, both Enhance and Ellie are definitely in a gutter. Which is something that I would like them to consider and hopefully fix in a, you know, hopefully fix in like next patch, maybe next season. I don't know. I really don't like it though. Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, I could agree to Justy, I guess.
Waffles are better than pancakes.
No, but waffles are garbage. I don't like waffles. Seriously though, I think that's the only thing that I would say as a difference, you know, as a difference. Next in line, in my opinion, BM Hunter. BM Hunter, definitely a lot better pickup for high keys than lower keys. Mid to low keys, you're still gonna do fine. However, the consistent damage of BM Hunter is something that I really like. This class has tremendously improved within the seasons. So right now, it's definitely one of the strongest range picks, in my opinion. It's a class that universally suits well with most of the classes, although physical meta will benefit you the most. It is also a class that, if for example melee becomes so dominant, you can play that with the Mystic Touch debuff, which increases your physical damage, plus Warrior AP Shout, which
Game
again,
over.
the only concern of like Hunter right now is the lack of burst damage without your major cooldown, which is an issue. Sometimes you might get sniped out of it. Your utility is okay, but not amazing. Hunter's Mark is a copium, in my opinion. And then I can also relate on behalf of defensives. I think defensives, again, even though you're better than before, it's still an issue at some times. I think you're not the worst defensive class in the game, but you're pretty squishy compared to others. Now, Augmentation fixes you that issue by providing you more versatility and better defensives, but still on your own, you're fine. Not bad, but you're fine. It's a class that I would like to see being explored more, I guess, down the line. That's about the BM Hunter. So definitely a good pickup if you're range main right now. A good pickup. I would be happy myself to have it. You know. The last pick that I'm gonna put in A tier right now is gonna be Sub Rogue. Sub Rogue is definitely a spec that I think will do well. I think as a rogue's pick, you are bound to be great in terms of defensives and mobility. After the most recent rework, you still feel great. I think the biggest problem here with Sub Rogue right now is there are keys where Asa and Outlaw are better than you, and I feel like a lot of people will abandon Sub Rogue for the Asa and Outlaw gameplay. So that kind of hinders your progress. But overall, you solid pickup. I think there isn't really anything to go wrong with playing Rogue right now in next season. From absolutely insane utility, to better defensives and good damage overall. Your package is great. You can diversify the damage by having AoE on demand, ST, etc. I feel like you have some issues, like you have some voids to fill, but overall you solid pickup as a middle class or middle spec, I guess, just because Rogue is so dominant right now. So I think overall being the best, if not being like the top of A tier is definitely a solid pickup for you. So yeah, having A tier is a good one. Now the argument here could be made about being higher, but I think A plus, like above A, it's a good spot for now, or Sub Rogue right now at least. All right, let's talk about next in A plus. A plus is a tier that I believe that a lot of classes here has a high potential to reach higher than an A plus. And they also sync well on the higher keys. Those classes might perform better on like mid to high keys, where I believe a lot of people are going to be interested in playing. On the lower keys, those classes will still be fine, but I think this has a slight edge. Again, those classes sync well with the current good classes. That's why I believe they are in A+. Further tunings will show if that is false or if that's true. First, Fire Mage. Now, a lot of people here would probably disagree and say Fire Mage definitely not A+. But I believe Fire Mage is one of the classes that has infinitely better late game than early game, especially given how good the tier state is. Just because it doesn't perform well right now, that doesn't mean it's going to be bad later on. You also do a lot better with like haste amps in your rotation, uncapped damage, which is also a very, very big plus, especially for like MDI kind of pulls or large pulls in high keys, or even the middle keys if you do large pulls. Flame Strike definitely a slapper right now. If you're playing with a Disc Priest, for example, having PI on the mage is absolutely insane. Having Alchemy Evoker on you is absolutely insane. Your on-demand burst damage is absolutely insane with Combustion. Again, you might struggle on the lower keys to mid keys where out of Combust you might not do amazing damage, but overall you should be feeling pretty solid. Again, utility package is very, very strong. Defensive, you're very strong. Likely the one of the highest defensive classes right now. And about utility and mobility, everybody knows that they're great. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them, out there. Next in line, Arcane Mage. Arcane Mage, even though it's not as popular pickup in Mythic Plus, Arcane currently feels amazing. They have a very good burst, front load burst, which absolutely nukes down the packs, which is a massive savior for like mid to high keys. On the lower keys,
Wait, what? Am I back?
on the lower keys, you're not really insane, but I would say the higher the key goes, the better you become. Given the fact that if discs ends up being a meta, then PI on you is absolutely amazing. With Oak Evoker, you also sync very well. I think those two share close similar performance. They're close to in performance, where I think that in some keys fire might be better, like especially in those massive AoE pulls. When other keys Arcane feels better, but I think it's a matter of choice, matter of scaling, and also a matter of like further tuning. Time is gonna tell how those two will perform. Again, in terms of the defensives, I think Fire Mage has better ones, just because of the cheat dead. But I think overall they share similarities. I think one of the biggest argument is the spec feels quite hard to play, so it definitely takes a lot better player to take the best out of the spec. So I feel like the average player might not achieve A+. The average player is probably going to end up being like around B or A tier. In the hands of experienced player, this spec is definitely A+. But again, for the average players, this would definitely be around A tier, maybe like lower B tier. Again, that's what I think. Could I be wrong? Definitely. But again, we'll discuss that next week once there's more changes. I strongly disagree with BM rankings. How can be a class with literally 0 utility A in Mythic Plus and Raid? It definitely looks much better. Nobody wants to invite hunters out respects even if they have DPS. The class is dead in high keys. Nobody care about 20s. It's like mission impossible. Fan group. Are you saying that you think that BM Hunter and Survival Hunter should be in like lower than A tier? I think I would disagree with that. I think they have very good damage to be in A tier. The damage to BM Hunter and Survival Hunter is pretty good, by the way. I don't think you have seen them perform well in Mythic Plus to judge. Again, this is Season 3 and not Season 4. We're right now Season 3. Talking about PTR Season 3. Last season I could agree probably, but this season it's something not to underestimate. That Retribution Paladin is the next in line. Now, hear me out. Hold on. Hear me out. Retribution Paladin being in A+ is absolutely amazing for them, brother. It's absolutely amazing.
Copium?
Has there ever been a better version than a Red Paladins? Actually, there was. When they got reworked, right? Hold on a second. Let me explain.
Let him cook.
Let me explain. Hear me out.
Giga Copium.
Now, Retribution Paladin has very good burst. Likely one of the best bursts across all melees, which makes them very appealing to all key levels. Lower, mid, and high. Red Paladin, in my opinion, has one of the best utilities as a DPS. Sack, Lay of Hands, Immunities, Red Aura, CR, only part of it. Okay? Bob can be useful as well. Freedom, sure. Good mob control, Hand of Justice, Interrupt, fucking Binding Light, whatever. Your city reliant, that is true, and your ST might not be the best, but I think overall, as you group things together, Red is definitely up there. Definitely up there. So that's why I believe Red is gonna be A+ tier. Overall, you guys are sleeping on Red Paladin and before saying Copium and before saying it's not true, shitter or whatever. Like, think about it. Like, Red in my opinion feels great and people just have not explored it to its fullest. Sure, ST is an issue. Fine. Alright boys. There's only a few specs left to talk about. And I think those are the top 5 in my opinion. Right now, you're looking at possibly the best performing specs in Mythic Plus as of now speaking. So I wouldn't be surprised if either of them becomes meta or becomes like extremely good. Top 5 chat. That is the biggest. I think if you're top 5, you're feeling very good. You respect that you're like, you know what, I feel great and I'll be happy to play it. First in line, Enhanced Shaman. Enhanced Shaman definitely part of the top 5 crew. Looking right now very good. Overall, the changes coming from Season 2 to Season 3 make them even stronger. A very good tier set. Likely, if not the best on damage good single target as well, burst AoE across the roof, sustained damage across the roof. You have a Wind Fury in case you're playing full melee as well, which is very good benefit. Your only issue, in my opinion, when going to the higher keys is surviving. Mega issue. Something that has to be done. Has to be fixed. Somebody has to do something. Having only Astral Shift is not an option. Again, Augmentation helps you. You can self-heal, but that obviously means that you gotta I guess you gotta pretty much sacrifice DPS. But genuinely, you're a very, very strong pickup, and if you're Enhanced Shaman main in Mythic Plus in raiding, you'll feel great. Again, I'm talking about Mythic Plus right now. Next in line is Assassination Rogue. I think this is the biggest upgrade that I've seen ever in Mythic Plus. I don't think any other spec, since I am playing actively Mythic Plus myself since BFA, has seen a better butterfly effect. From literally dog shit to like amazing. I don't think I'll be excited to say this, but I think Assassination Rogue probably the best upgrade since from last season to this season. Honestly, like straight up. Better defensives, amazing utility, silence as well, iron wire, don't forget it, good damage, overall bursty sometimes, testy, AoE, you have everything, poisons as well. I mean, there really isn't anything that I would like more from the spec. In some keys, I would pick up Asa all the time. And some keys, Outlaw is better. But Asa right now, in my opinion, is absolutely amazing. I love to play with Asa Rogues, and I think they perform amazing. And I'm looking forward, like down the season, how they play out. You know, I'm excited. Honestly, I would love to see, like, this pick has been down the drain for so long. For so long, people have avoided Asa like a plague, and now they're gonna want Asa. I'm gonna try my best to change people's perspective, but expect still people to decline you. By the way, expect people to decline you because people are not used to the power of Assassination Rogue. It's kind of like the Retribution Paladin post rework early on, you know, sort of like that one. But we'll see though. I mean, again, tuning is yet to happen, so we don't know. Like, I'm gonna update you guys every Sunday. Tuning is about to happen. I don't know if they're gonna lift the tuning. Maybe they might get butchered, they might get buffed, they might get nerfed. I don't know, chat. But right now, if you are rogue main, you are loving to play all specs. I think you'll be loving to play all specs. Likely, the most dominant class right now in Mythic Plus rogue. That is, Asa, Sub, or Outlaw. It don't matter. All of them are pretty good. And that reminds me to talk about the next DPS. Outlaw Rogue, absolutely broken with spec. With the current rework, they do fantastic in all sort of scenarios. They even got somehow tankier and have more utility. Somehow they already has amazing utility, but hey, you know what? Let's build them a bit more. I think this comes as no surprise after the most recent rework. There has been never a spec in the game that became dog shit from the rework, and I think Outlaw is just a it's just like in my opinion, one of the best, if not the best, A+ representatives right now, Mythic Plus. The reason why you're not S tier is because right now those two classes in S tier are the most dominant, and there really isn't any room for you to be there. But you're likely to be next in line. I would say like that. So Rogue being A+ tier is definitely a very massive congratulations to you. So I think if you're a Rogue main, you'll be very excited. Like, Outlaw is just so powerful in all sorts. So. Yeah, pretty good. Alright, chat, that's everything for A+ tier. I don't think there's anything to talk about here. Next in line is S tier, as you guys might already guessed. Havoc and WindWalker currently are on S tier. I don't think they are better classes than them in Mythic Plus. Both right now are looking astronomically good. Augmentation is gonna be part of like every single high key 100% unless they change the way Even might work. Absolutely banger of a spec. I just don't see how this is not gonna be meta again. WindWalker 100%, very dominant, very good, very powerful. You give damage to your DPS. You give defensive to your DPS. You provide your team with utilities. Your overall solid pickup. You're very tanky as well. Have insane mobility. DH right now after the rework, also absolutely astronomical numbers. You can burst so high. Likely the best consistent damage out there. Better utility. Outside of that, you're just also tanky. You might be also using Netherwalk right now. So extra tankiness, have a blur on minute cooldown, extra leech effects on top of you, and Netherwalk. I mean, what else do you want? Also, passive magic DR available all the time. Like, honestly, what else do you want? There's nothing more you want from a spec than Havoc right now. It just feels like the complete spec. I am just scared. I am thinking this will likely get nerfed, you know? I just don't see how Havoc might be like that on release. I think it's gonna get nerfed. You know? It's too strong. It's too strong. Historically, they've always been nerfing those two strong classes though.